If you guys have ever wondered how much actual fiat money it takes to move the market capitalization up to, say, $5 or $10 trillion, then go ahead and stay tuned, because I'm going to talk about the math behind how all of this works and why $10 trillion for a market cap is actually realistic. Stay tuned. What's going on, guys? Andrew here, Beacon Crypto. If you guys have not been here, go ahead, subscribe. Make sure you guys hit the notification bell so you guys don't miss a single video in our journey. We're also doing the 2K to 1 million challenge, where we just hit about 8K, and that's about a 4x from where we started from. So if you guys want to follow us, go ahead and make sure you guys join the Discord group, as well as join us on TikTok, where I'm very, very active with the 2K to 1 million challenge. Now, guys, let's talk about market cap and money inflow. This is something that I've always had a lot of questions about, and I've seen a lot of TikToks. A friend of mine actually put out a TikTok that he thought that $10 trillion market cap was unrealistic based on a few things. Like, example, the oil industry is worth about 3.3 trillion, and all the food in the world's worth about $1 trillion, and then the actual worth of several countries is worth, only a couple trillion, 2, 3, 4 trillion. And what people think that total market cap means is that's how much money total has been invested into the currency, and that is completely wrong. So we're going to go ahead and talk about that right now as we have it on my computer. So guys, as you guys can see, the total market cap right now is at $2.28 trillion, but that doesn't mean $2.28 trillion has moved into cryptocurrency. It's a total value of the price of the cryptocurrencies times the circulating supply of the currency. So for example, as you guys can see, circulating supply, the amount of coins circulating in the market and that are in public hands, and you multiply, that's what this circulating supply is. Now, if you look at the market cap, the total market value of the cryptocurrency's circulating supply, that's also a key word that we're going to get to here soon. So to get market cap, you take the current price times circulating supply. So I'm going to go ahead and do that quickly right now for you guys if you guys have never seen that done. So we're going to take 57,621. We're going to multiply that by the current circulating supply. You can see that equals 1.07 trillion. And as you guys can see, the market cap is right here, 1.708 trillion. As the calculator says, there's just a few discrepancies by the cents, but that's exactly how you get a market cap. That doesn't necessarily mean that every single Bitcoin was bought for $57,000, $57,531. That's what a lot of people don't realize. That's why the actual market cap isn't how much money inflow is in Bitcoin. And the same thing goes for the entire cryptocurrency market. There isn't $2.2 trillion of actual fiat money that is in the cryptocurrency space. It's much less. For example, think about it with Bitcoin. People bought Bitcoin for a cent. They bought it for 10 cents. They bought it for $10. They bought it for $100. They bought it for $1,000. They bought it for $10,000, $25,000. And think about big purchases. For example, let's say when Tesla bought $1.5 billion worth of Bitcoin, they might have bought it, I don't remember, it was $30,000 or $40,000. But when you put $1.5 billion in at $30,000 or $40,000 with the price, obviously that can move the price up. As JP Morgan says, about $95 million can move Bitcoin about 1%. That can move it. That buy can move it as much as 12%. And now that moves the price from 32 to, say, 40. We'll just say 40 for an even number. But now you have $40,000 times the circulating supply. Now, if you had $40,000 times the circulating supply, you're going to have a much higher number than the $32,000 times the circulating supply. But there's only $1.5 billion invested. But with the price hike of $8,000 times the circulating supply, that number infinitely gets magnified. So if we want to do that number, for example, let's just say we still have the same numbers. So 18,698. So let's do a $32,000 Bitcoin, okay? We times that by 18,600. 1860. So let's say we're just going to use round numbers. Okay, I'm going to use both of those round numbers for example's sake, because you guys can see you are at 3. So you're at 595 billion. That's the market cap. But now, if you use that same number, that 32 So let's say that moved the total price even higher up to $40,000, that one purchase, which is actually, like we said, in the low end, and we do 40,000 times 1,860,000, you would see that now equals 744 billion. And you can see the difference between the two numbers is roughly about 150 to 200 billion dollars, but the inflow was only 1.5 billion dollars. So as you guys can see, the market cap is far, far greater than the actual inflow of money. And even to amplify that, we're mining 900 Bitcoin a day. So the circulating supply is going up, and as we're buying more of what we have, that price is going even higher. So as you add more to the circulating supply, as miners sell, which actually you can't even count what miners have because that's not technically in public hands, once the miners sell and they add that to the circulating supply and the price is where it's at and the price continues to move, when the price moves higher and the circulating supply also moves a little bit higher with it, you're going to see an amplified higher total market cap. That's why it is completely possible for Bitcoin to get to 10 trillion and the total market cap to get to, even what Michael Saylor says, $50 trillion. It's absolutely a possibility. So, and like he says, this is kind of a simplified example, but I mean, nothing moves exactly linear, but we can make estimates to make things look real. So as you guys can see, the money invested in the market is known as inflow. I'll make this a little bigger. This is the actual real money that has gone to the market. For example, in crypto, when somebody goes to Coinbase and buys Bitcoin with cash, that's inflow. So that we're just defining what inflow is. The market cap, as we stated before, is the current circulating supply multiplied by the current price of those assets. As we said earlier, these numbers are often very far apart, and we're going to explain why now. So here's this very simple example. There's an island that has 5 homes on it, okay? And then that I land on the island, and I buy 3 of the homes for $200K each. So now the other remaining homeowners list their homes for $200K. So the market cap of the actual island is $1 million, 200K times 5. But the amount of money that was actually invested was only 600K. So 600K is all that was invested. So that 600K was the inflow, $1 million is the market cap. Now that's it's an okay example, but let's talk about this as it relates to crypto now. So like I said before, not all coins in circulation were actually purchased at the price. In fact, many coins were not purchased at all due to pre-mining and other things. So the market cap is often much higher than was actually invested in the market. And this is what JP Morgan said as well. According to JP Morgan, when the market cap was around $300 billion for crypto, the net inflow was around $6 billion. So let's say we had Bitcoin, that they had a Bitcoin dominance. So if you guys don't know what Bitcoin dominance is how much dominance Bitcoin has over the market. So right now, Bitcoin has just under 50% Bitcoin dominance, okay? But back when the market was $300 billion total, right now it's 2.2 trillion. When it was $300 billion total, that number was much higher. So for example, let's say the total market cap, the Bitcoin dominance had over the market was 75%. So we could go back to our calculator, and you have we can try to find what 0.75 times 6 is. So we can see $4.5 billion of the $6 billion with the Bitcoin dominance at that 75%, like we did with that calculation there, means that 4.5 billion of the 6 billion right here was Bitcoin. So at $300 billion of total crypto, you could say that there was an inflow of $4.5 billion, and that's how Bitcoin got to its current market cap at that time. So that means that 6 billion was invested, not the total 300 billion of the market cap. So 6 billion inflow made a 300 billion market cap. Now let's go ahead and scale this a little bit. So he says, of course, the calculations aren't linear, but with the market cap of $600 billion, that would mean approximately $12 billion of net flow would have to be there. And he says it's probably less due to the properties involved. So my actual guess would probably be around 8 billion. What he means by that is it takes less money to move the market cap even more of smaller cryptocurrencies. We were talking about Bitcoin, but what about Ethereum? What about number 64 Phantom? It takes far less money to get to a $1 billion market cap. So with all of these small cryptocurrencies getting invested into the whole total market cap, that total market cap can move faster because the products are far smaller. That's why the total market cap, he would estimate it probably only took another, it took around 8 billion. He said it only probably took about 2 billion to get to that next point because there wasn't as much invested in Bitcoin and there was more invested in the altcoins, which means that the altcoin market caps moved faster and bigger and further with less money. So he said, let's split the difference and say it's 10 billion, okay? So now like I said before, we had 6 billion inflow to make a 300 billion market cap. Now we're going to use 10 billion to say 600. We could even say 12 billion, either one, but regardless, that means the entire money actually invested in cryptocurrency is only around 10 billion at that point to get a $600 billion market cap. So let's go ahead and 10x that. Let's say if we want to see Bitcoin, for example, go from 600 billion to $6 trillion market cap. A $6 trillion market cap, in theory, right now, as you guys can see, the current Bitcoin price is 57.53. So if it's worth 57 with a 1 trillion market cap, let's 6x. So what's 57 times 6? Our calculator, 57 times 6 means 342, which means you see a $342,000 Bitcoin at a $6 trillion market cap estimated. So as you can see, it took $10 billion to get to a $600 billion market cap. So if we just add another zero, so if we add another zero to the billion, that'd be 6 trillion. If we add another zero to the 10, that'd be 100 billion. So it would take $100 billion of inflowed money to make a $6 trillion Bitcoin. Does that sound possible? Now, with Tesla investing 1.5, with Grayscale, and you have MicroStrategy, Michael Saylor, investing a few billion, if this becomes widely adopted and this institutional money wants to get there, I really can't see how Bitcoin couldn't, I can't see how it doesn't have the ability to do that. I think that is very, very possible. Now, to think about that, on top of that, let's say Bitcoin stays around a 50% dominance. That would mean that if we had 200 billion total in invested inflow, the market cap would be $12 trillion of the whole market. So it would take $200 billion to invest in order to see in theory, to see a $12 trillion market cap. Now, could you see $200 billion invested into the cryptocurrency space? We have gold. We have the market cap of gold. People can get out of gold. We have people in real estate. People can move their money out of real estate. There are obviously the stock market. Now, if we go ahead and we look at how much money is in the stock market, the total market cap of the stock market is 70.75 trillion. So now, if we use those same principles to $70.75 trillion, we're going to go ahead and go to the calculator. As you could see before, we had 6 billion inflow and a 300 billion market cap. So if you take that is 2% of the market cap. 2% of the market cap would equal how much inflow? Because as you can see, every 100 billion is worth 2 billion, so that's 2%. So if we take 2% of the 75, so we take 0.02 times 75, which we'd be seeing in trillions, that'd be 1.5 trillion. That means there's estimated $1.5 trillion to make that market cap 70.75 trillion. So that would be an estimated inflow of $1.5 trillion. Now, is it realistic that we could see, a certain percentage of people in the stock market move over? Let's say we saw a 10% outflow of stocks into cryptocurrency. 10% of this, so we take times 0.1, would be 150 billion. So that is $150 billion of inflow into cryptocurrency if we see a 10% move from stocks to cryptocurrency. Is that possible? I really think it is. I don't think that's out of the realm of possibilities. Now, if we move that $150 billion of inflow from the stock market to the cryptocurrency market, as we talked about, 6 billion made 300 billion. And as we talked about, 100 billion would make this 6 trillion. So if we add another half, we would see that 150 billion, which is 1.5, and we do 1.5 from 6 trillion. If we add another $50 billion, you could see that 6 trillion would turn into 9 trillion. That is completely realistic. And same with gold. We didn't even look at gold. How much money is in gold? The total value of gold right now totally would exceed 7.5 trillion. So as you guys can see, there's $7.5 trillion in gold. Now, even if that is, I don't even know if that's the market cap or not actually, but even if that's the market cap, we could still do the same. 2% of that, we would see several hundred billion. Like we said before, if it only takes $100 billion to get a $6 trillion market cap, for example, in Bitcoin, I think it is completely realistic to be able to see eventually in the future, as things start to even out, that you could see a 10, a 20, and even a $50 trillion market cap in cryptocurrency. Now, if we did the same thing, if we saw a $50 trillion market cap, in theory, we would only have to see 2%. We would only have to see a 2% of 50. So if you take 2% of 50, 50 times 0.02, which is 1. So you would legitimately need about $1 trillion to get to a $50 trillion market cap total on cryptocurrency. Even if that number is skewed just a little bit, because it's not going to be exactly linear, but if anything, like we said before in this example, this is probably going to be less due to the properties involved. As the Bitcoin dominance goes down and the altcoin dominance starts to rise, the further that Bitcoin goes down and the further that altcoins rise, the less money it takes to move this 50% as opposed to the Bitcoin 50%, because the Bitcoin 50% is a bigger asset. So it's going to take a little bit more money to move Bitcoin as it matures. That's what makes it more stable. But also with the total market cap of everything, the altcoins are not nearly at the Bitcoin point. So as you can, if you think about it, the Bitcoin dominance, if it's 50% and all of the altcoins together are at 50%, depending on everything that is bought in Bitcoin, it would essentially take the same amount of money to move all of the altcoins, the total market cap of the altcoins and the total market cap of Bitcoin. So guys, as you can see, that is a lot of math. That's kind of a headache. But what a lot of people don't realize is that the market cap isn't truly how much money inflowed into the market. It actually is just a simple measure of the price times the circulating supply. And as the circulating supply gets higher, for example, as Bitcoin gets mined and the price continues to go up, that total market cap is going to swell exponentially. And that doesn't mean that the amount of money, that it is certainly not the inflow of the amount of money, because people purchase at different prices. People purchase at $100, $1,000, $10,000, just like we talked about before. But that's what I wanted to sum up, is that total market cap is not the amount of inflow. And you guys have to realize that. And if you don't think that 10 trillion, 25 trillion, or even $50 trillion market cap is possible, it takes far less money than you actually think to make that occur. And if you don't think that big corporations and even retail buyers and money from the stock market and gold and silver and other places where people invest, in real estate as well, that if you don't think that we could get to 1 trillion total dollars invested into Bitcoin, especially if the whole world's economic wealth is estimated at $1 quadrillion. 1 trillion of a quadrillion is only 1/1000th. That's why I think that Bitcoin could get to a $50 trillion market cap, and the total market cap could get to $100 trillion, because that would only be a $2 trillion, which would be 2/1000th of the total world economic power. So, like I said, guys, this is completely simplistic, but it does show you that it still is possible. Using the numbers that we used, it is still completely possible that we could see a massive $50 trillion market cap in the future, and even a $10 trillion market cap in the near future. So guys, I hope you guys absorbed that. Like I said, that was a lot of math, a lot of explaining. I hope you guys slowed down and processed that information, but what you guys should take away from it is that it's completely possible. And if you have somebody that doesn't believe what we're talking about, go ahead and show them this video and break this down to them that this is completely possible. So until next time, guys, I will talk to you soon. Angel here, Big Green Crypto. Peace.